Hello, future road runners. My name is Melissa. I am one of the CSUB transfer specialists. Today in this video, we're going to go over the application for spring 2021. The application will open on August 1st through August 31st. So we want to make sure that our transfer students are able to get through that application, submit it within the deadline, and get over to CSUB. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys. Okay, so if you have created an account on Cal State Apply before, you would put in your username and your password, and it will let you into an application. So if you have submitted before, maybe out of high school, if you forgot your username or your password, you would click down here. If you have never been on the Cal State Apply website, you would go to create an account. Anything with a red asterisk must be completed. So we're going to go ahead and fill this out. Make sure that you confirm your email address. And also to make sure that you put a valid phone number in there. Okay. There is an agreement for text and phone authorization for them to contact you. It is not a requirement. However, if you are comfortable being contacted by text and phone, you can go ahead and agree to those terms. You must select a username and a password. So we're going to go ahead. It'll let you know if your username has been already used, and then it'll give you a suggestion if it has been. Make sure that you follow all the criteria for your password. Also, I recommend that you write this information down so that if you need to start and stop your application at any point in time, that you have that information available to you. Please read through the terms and conditions of the application, and once you have, you want to agree to these terms. For most of our students coming in, this would not be applicable, but if you are in one of the European Union countries, you would select yes. Otherwise, most of us are going to be selecting no. And then you're going to create an account. Excellent. Okay, there was a little delay. If you are an incoming transfer student, meaning that you have either attended the community college or even another university, but you have not received your bachelor's degree yet, that is what qualifies as a transfer student. So you would be seeking your first bachelor's degree. And then here's where you're going to be selecting what kind of transfer student you are. Are you a transfer student coming in with an associate's degree for transfer from a California community college? If so, you would select this. The college that you will be earning your associate's degree from transfer. So I'm going to select Bakersfield College, and I'm going to select that I'm earning an associate's degree for transfer in business administration. The other transfer way to come in is this transferring from a community college or four-year institution. When you click this box, your options are you are either transferring with less than 60 units, or once you're ready to transfer, you will have 60 transferable units or more. CSUB only accepts upper division transfer students, meaning that you must have your 60 units completed by fall 2020 in order to be eligible to come in for spring 2021. So if you are not on an associate's degree for transfer path, you would select greater than or equal to 60 transferable units. It is very important that you know whether you are going to be earning an associate's degree for transfer or whether you'll be transferring with your 60 units so that you can complete this portion appropriately. So I'm going to go ahead and change it to as if I was earning my business administration associate's degree for transfer from Bakersfield College. Down here, returning applicants. So if you've previously attended CSUB, you would select yes, and then you would put in your CSUB ID number. This is not for students who have just applied to CSUB. This is for students who have actually taken courses at CSUB previously. Your military status is very important. If there are any military service members or veterans out there that don't meet general admissions requirements, this is a way so that we can know and ask for that additional documentation from you. So I'm going to bet no, I have not served in the United States military, and I am not an international student. Any student coming in with an F1 or J1 visa would select yes. Other than that, you'll be selecting no. On this page, this is where it's going to allow you to select the campus that you want to apply to, as well as the program. Bakersfield is usually listed first just because we're at the top of the alphabet, but you can search by campus name, by term. Right now, we just have a few of our programs open for testing, but when you are in the live application, you will be able to see all the programs available for Bakersfield College, or excuse me, for CSUB. I'm going to select Business Administration. And what this means when it goes green, it means that I have selected that application. If I wanted to select more, I could go down and click additional applications that I want to apply to. But I'm only going to select right now that I'm applying to CSUB's Business Administration program. And I'm going to hit I'm done with and review my selections here at the top. It's also going to show you that each application has a $70 application fee. Built into the application, it'll see if you qualify for a fee waiver, and we will get into that later. If you don't, please have a form of payment ready at the end of the application so that you can submit your application. So we're going to go to continue to my application. This is the main screen for your application, and each one of these sections we call quadrants. So this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. In quadrant 1, most of what you're going to see is your personal information. Some things that I would like to point out because I want to make sure that none of our students are getting stuck. We're going to go down to citizenship and residency information. Here it asks about U.S. citizenship. So if you are a U.S. citizen, you would select that. If you have a green card or a permanent resident card, you would select that. If you are an AB 540 student, a DACA student, you would select none. And it says if you were born outside of the United States, it's going to ask what year did you come to the United States. So now separate from that, it asks what U.S. state you regard as your permanent home. So regardless of your citizenship status, you would select where you claim residency. So I claim residency in the state of California. And it's going to ask, do I claim residence here? This is more for, for military members, maybe you are in California, but you don't claim California residency, then you would select no. But we're gonna go ahead and select yes. And then it says, have you lived in California continuously since birth? I have. If you select no, it's going to ask when your present stay started in California. And all this information is just to determine your residency status for tuition purposes. So you really want to make sure that you fill that out. As you select through it, it's going to show you each one of the boxes over here. And when you have the check mark, that means that you've satisfied that box. I wanted to highlight down here the financial and parental information. So depending on your age, you are going to be classified as an independent or a dependent, and you figure that out by these questions up here. And then based off of that, you will answer whether you're a dependent or an independent. If you are dependent, you will need to know your parents' financial information to fill this out in terms of seeing if you qualify for a fee waiver, things like that. So I'm independent. And then that's where it's going to ask me about my household. And that's just for me, my spouse, and anybody that I would consider a dependent of my own. If I was to select dependent, then it's going to be based off of your parents. So this is something that you might need to fill out at home if you are considered a dependent so that you can get this information from your parents. I would say you should use your tax information to fill this out. It's also going to ask if you are interested in campus housing, and then it's going to ask your parents' education level. So that's just some information that they are going to take down, but it's really important that you read the description right here to determine whether you are an independent or dependent applicant. So anytime you want to get out of a section, all you have to do is go up to the top and click on My Application, and it will take you back to those 4 quadrants. Under the academic history section, this section is going to be where you are going to need your transcripts in front of you. You don't need your official transcripts. Unofficial transcripts will be just fine. But you will need your transcripts from each institution that you attended. And I will make a note here for any of my local students who have attended Bakersfield College. If you have attended any classes at Porterville College or Saracosa College, even though those are sister schools, you will need to input those colleges individually because they have their own course numbering system. And it's very important that you accurately enter your college information, because when we're looking at your application, we want to make sure that we're getting the most accurate information to make an admissions decision. So under colleges attended, you'll go ahead and add a college, and most of this will auto-populate. So as I start typing in Bakersfield College, it populates, and then it asks, did you obtain, are you planning on obtaining a degree here? So remember how I stated that I was going to earn my associate's degree for transfer from Bakersfield College. So I'm going to hit yes to this question, and it's going to ask, have I already earned that degree or is it in progress? So for students who will be earning a degree by the end of fall of 2020, you would hit that your degree is going to be in progress. And here it's going to ask you what kind of degree. So notice on here there is an Associates of Arts for transfer, there's an Associates of Science for transfer. And then also there's the local degrees that you can earn at your community college, such as the Associate of Science degree, the Associates of Applied Science. Those degrees are going to be more applicable to when we answered that question at the beginning, that you were transferring in with 60 or greater units. But I put in that I'm getting an Associates for Transfer degree, and my major is Business Administration. Everything in a drop-down menu is in alphabetical order, so just be mindful of that. And then if you're going to be earning your degree at the end of the fall semester, I would put December of 2020 so that it knows that you're going to earn that degree. If you are earning multiple associate's degree for transfer, you can select that you were double majoring. However, I would recommend that the main degree that you put in is the same degree that you will be pursuing at CSUB. So let's say I was going to also earn an associate's degree for transfer in econ, but I'm going to pursue business administration at CSUB. I would put business administration as that main degree, and then when I added my second degree, that's when I would put econ. Then it's going to ask what type of system that the college is on. Bakersfield College is on a semester system. And this is where it's really important to have your transcripts in front of you, because it wants to know the first semester that you have attended. And if you're not attending any longer, you would input your last semester. Otherwise, you would select that you're still attending that college. So I'm going to input that I started at Bakersfield College in fall. So that would be August of 2018. And then I'm still currently attending, and we're going to go ahead and hit save. Now, let's say that I needed to take a class at Porterville College. I took one course, but I'm mainly a Bakersfield College student. I would still add that information in. So I'm going to type in that I attended Porterville College. And now I did not earn my degree from Porterville College, so I would select no, and that they're on a semester system. And then I would select the term that I went there. So I'm going to say that I went there in spring. So that starts in January of 2019. And my last semester there was I just went in spring. So spring, and the end of the semester would have ended in May of 2019. And I'm going to hit save. It's really important to set this section up because once this is completed, when you go to the next section for transcript entry, it's very important that you enter the courses that you've taken in the semester that you've taken them as accurately as possible. I would recommend that you review the transcript entry guide. I feel that it's very helpful on going through if you've repeated a course, if you've taken AP courses, if you've taken CLEP courses. So all of this information is really helpful, and I definitely recommend that you have it up while you're filling out the application. So we're going to start with Bakersfield College. And the way that you enter your transcripts is by each semester that you took courses. So I'm going to add a semester, and I said that I started in fall of 2018, and I started as a freshman. And here's where you come into, have you completed these courses, meaning that I took them already and I received grades for them, or I'm planning on taking them, or I'm in progress of taking them. So depending on when you fill this out, most likely if you're taking classes for fall 2020, that's when you're going to select in progress or planned, because those are classes that you haven't completed yet, so you are not aware of your grades. So for now, we're going to select completed, and I want to add a course. So in here, you can start typing in the courses that you have taken, and they will populate if you've attended a California college, California Community College, excuse me. So if I start typing in English, see how it starts populating all the classes that Bakersfield College offers. So I'm going to select that I did college composition, and see how it fills it out, and it automatically fills out the course title. I do need to select my subject. If you do not select a subject, when you go to hit the save button, it'll be grayed out. The subjects are generic, so when you're talking about history, it's just going to be history. It wouldn't be like US history or Chicano history. It's just going to be history. So I'm going to select the E's because I need to get down to English. That's a quicker way to, instead of having to scroll all the way through, but you can. So I'm going to select English. It auto-populated that the class was worth 3 units. So this is the total units. Let's say it was worth 3.5 units. I would come over here and change this to the 5-0. And now this means 3.5 units. But most of the California community colleges update this information, and so you will find that the units are correct. But I would pay attention to that. If you input a course and it says that you earned a different unit count than what auto-populates, please correct it to what it says on your transcript. Here you're going to put in the grade that you received. So I'm going to put in that I had an A. And then I recommend that you hit the tab button. When you hit the tab button, it fills out your CAS grade for you, and it identifies your class as being transferable. If this was the only class that I took in fall of 2018, I would hit save, and then I would go on to add additional semesters. It is my recommendation, though, that you add all the courses that you took for a semester and then hit the save button. If you took Math B70 at Bakersfield College, Math B70 is not a transferable course. And as you can see, it says no results are found. So the only thing that auto-populates in the Cal State Apply application is transferable courses. I still recommend that you manually type in this information. So you would continue with Math B70. You would type in the name of the class. You would select that it's math, the units, and the grade. And so I believe this is algebra. There we go. Algebra 2. And I'm going to select the math. And I'm going to put in that it was 3 units and that I received an A. Notice how there still is a CAS grade, but the transferable box is not selected. That's because the system recognizes that this is not a transferable course. So I'm going to put in that for fall of 2018, these were the classes that I took, and I'm going to hit save. Now I would go and move on to my next semester. And you're going to go ahead and do this all the way through. But I want to go ahead and jump ahead to fall 2020 to show you the difference in how you will input your grades. So for fall of 2020, I would be a sophomore at that point in time. So you are a freshman up until you have 30 units, and then you switch into a sophomore status once you have over 30 units. And then you remain at a sophomore status until you get into a university, because that's when you go to a junior or senior status. So for my completion status, because these classes will not have been completed and I will not have grades for them, I'm going to select that they are in progress or planned. And what that's going to do is that's going to make it to where it's going to gray out the grade requirement. So let's add a course. Oops. And we're going to select that I'm taking History B17A. And now here it's auto-populating, that's the history of the United States. And I'm going to hit the H, so it takes me down to the H's. And I'm going to select history. It is a 3-unit course, and here the grade option is grade out. So it is very important that you put in the classes that you are taking for fall 2020, because we need to make sure that we have an accurate unit count on you for admissions purposes. Now, if when you're filling this out, you are waitlisted in a course, I would personally recommend that you add the waitlisted course to the application as if you're going to get into the course. The Office of Admissions will ask you to submit a transcript once you've submitted your application to CSUB. So if for whatever reason there were changes to your fall 2020 schedule, we are not going to penalize you for that, but we will be looking at your transcripts to see if there has been any changes. So I'm going to hit save. And once I'm done with Bakersfield College, and I still need to go back in and put any of my other institutions in, I can go back to the transcript entry page. And I can go ahead and start Porterville College. Once you're done inputting all of your units from Bakersfield College, Porterville College, wherever it is that you're attending, you would then select that I have completed entering my transcripts, and you would save this page. And once you do that, it's going to give you the checkbox for transcript entry. So we're going to go ahead and put in my Porterville classes. So we're going to add a semester. And note up here, it tells me, because this is the information I put in on the college attended page, that I only attended in spring of 19. So I still would have been a freshman. And these classes are completed. So I'm going to put in here the classes that I took at Porterville College, and see how it's going to start populating COM P101. For Bakersfield College, I believe that is COM B1. So even if that's what Bakersfield College gave you credit for, if the class that you actually took was COM P101, you would want to make sure that you were entering that correctly. And I'm going to select that it's a communications course. It is worth 3 units. I received a B. and I'm going to tab over, and it's marking the CAS grade and the transferable. I'm also going to add COM P105, which is also a communications class. And I received a C in that class. I'm going to go ahead and say that I also took math 115, and that is a math course. And I received a B. Actually, let's go through what would happen if you were needed to repeat a course. We'll do that on Bakersfield College because I have more semesters to play with. So once you're done inputting for Porterville College, you would select Save. Excellent. So let's go back to Bakersfield College, and I want to show you how you would put in a course that you have repeated. Sorry, my system is a little bit slow, guys. I do apologize. So I want to add a semester. And down here, that would be spring 2019. I would have still been a freshman, and this would have been a class that I've already completed. So if you received a failing grade in a course and you have repeated it, you want to still input the information that you've taken. So we're going to put in that I took Art B1. And instead of putting in the failing grade that you got, as long as you have repeated the course and now the newer grade is what's counting, you would put in an RP for repeat. And what that is going to do is, see how on your CAS grade it says none. That is going to make it to where this particular course is not going to be calculated into your transferable GPA. If you were to put that you got an F in this course, and then maybe you retook it in the summer and got a B, when it calculated your GPA, it would calculate the B and the F into your GPA, and it's going to make your GPA look lower than it really is. So that's why putting in your repeats this way is important. The same thing if you were given an academic renewal, meaning that it's been excluded from your transcript, you would type in an AR for academic renewal. And all of that information was in that transcript guide that I recommended that we review. So now that I put in that I took art appreciation in spring of 19 and I repeated it, I'm going to select Save. And now we're going to add in the semester that I actually took it. So we're going to say summer of 19. Summer 2019. I haven't hit my 30 units yet, so I'm still a freshman and I've completed this course. But I went back and repeated Art B1. So I'm going to type in that I went into Art B1 again. And this time I was able to pass it with a B. And notice how it honors my CAS grade. The reason this is important is because when you submit your Cal State Apply application, it's going to come in and let the initial application will come into the Office of Admissions, and it will tell us how many units you have already completed, as well as the GPA that was calculated within your application. So making sure that you input your repeats, your academic renewals, all of that appropriately is very important, because if you go back to your transcript entry, see over here it says calculate my transfer GPA. I would not recommend that you click calculate my transfer GPA until you are done putting in all of your units. But once you do, you want to go ahead and click calculate my transfer GPA, and it's taking all of your courses that you inputted from Bakersfield College, from Porterville, wherever it was that you attended. And it's saying that so far it's telling me that I have input 15 units, I have 45 quality points, and my GPA currently is a 3.0. Now, had I put in the F instead of a repeat, it would have calculated that in there and my GPA would not be this high. So please keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and move on to the general education section. This is important because as a transfer student, you are required to complete your oral communication, your written communication, your critical thinking, and your mathematics. Now, the system will usually populate the classes that you've taken that meet these criteria. But if you notice here under written communication, it says please select a value. So I'm going to click on there and I'm going to say that I did my expository English, and that was my A2 written communication. This is very important to check to make sure that it is correctly filled out. We do look at this in the Office of Admissions to make sure that students have met these admissions requirements. And it makes it easier to know that your application is good, has the most accurate information. The next section it's going to go through is standardized testing. As a transfer applicant, you are not required to put in your ACTs, a GMAT, a GRE, SAT scores, any of this. So because they're not required for admissions for a transfer student, I would select I am not adding my standardized test. It's then going to ask, are you sure? You can move down to the next option, which is AP. If you have taken AP courses, you're going to want to input that you have taken them, and it's going to ask you which class or which course you took, which test you took, and the score that you received on it. If you did not take any AP, you would just select no and save and continue, and it's going to go ahead and check off that section and ask if you want to move on to the next. The next is for CLEP. So if you have taken a CLEP exam, I know a lot of students at Bakersfield College will take the Spanish CLEP. You would select yes, and then you would need to input the CLEP that you took as well as the score that you took. The date that you've taken it, all of that information needs to be input. So I'm going to go in here and select that I took the Spanish language CLEP. It was taken on 7/1/2020, and that I received a 79. If you've taken multiple CLEP exams, you can list them on here. And then if you had any additional beyond 5, you would select yes. Otherwise, you can select no and save and continue. If you have any IB test scores, you would go ahead and put those in here as well. I'm going to select that I have not taken any IBs. And we're going to continue on to the next section. One thing I would like for you to note is that if you ever get to a part of your application where you're like, you know what, I have to start or I have to stop, or let's see how much I have left to do, you can always click on My Application, and it's going to go back to those 4 quadrants, and it's going to show you how much of it's completed. So out of that academic history, I have completed 6 of the 8 requirements. In the personal information, I completed 7 of the 1 requirements. And then let's go ahead and take a look at supporting information. This is where you would enter information about your associate's degree for transfer, as well as input information about EOP. For CSUB specifically, if you belong to the EOP program at your community college, then you would be eligible to apply to the program for CSUB. If you do not belong to the program, then you would not be eligible to start that program at CSUB. And that's one of the first questions it asks you if you are currently in the EOPS program, you would select yes. Or do you wish to apply? Now, you can select, I will return to this later to complete my EOP questions. Please note that if you do fill out for EOP, there is a lot of information that you need to fill out regarding your parents' income. So this might be the section of the application that you want to make sure that your parents are around for so that you can get that information to fill this out accurately. But I'm going to go back up to the associate's degree for transfer information for now. So on here, it's asking more about how I filled out for that I attended Bakersfield College and that I was earning a business administration ADT. It wants to know what my ID number is at Bakersfield College. You would not put the @ sign in here. You would only put in your number. So I'm going to put in, I'm going to make this up. And then if you know your California Community College ID, you can put it in here. That's your overall ID number for the state of California. If you don't, it is not asterisked, so you can bypass it. And then once again, it's asking, when do you believe you're going to complete this degree? So I'm going to select that it will be completed in December of 20. And then it asks, will you be receiving a second ADT? I did not indicate on the beginning page that I was receiving a second ADT, so it is selected as no. If you don't want to move on to the next section, you can always click go to the dashboard and it's going to bring you back to the main part of the application. One thing I would also like to note is that, let me move this out of the way. Up here where it says your name and your CAS ID number, if you hit the drop-down menu, one of the options is your extended profile. So let's say you thought you were earning your business administration degree for an ADT, and you talk to your counselor and they're like, oh no, you still are going to have your 60 units, you're still transferable, but you're missing a course, so you won't be receiving it. Well, now you need to go back into your application and change that information. You can do that through your extended profile. So you would click extended profile. And here's where it takes you to those first questions that you answered when you started your application. So here's where you could change that you're just going to be transferring from the community college and that you will have greater than 60 units. So if you ever need to go back there and change that applicant status, that's where you would do that. You're only going to be able to do that before you have submitted your application. Once you submit your application, you will not be able to make changes to it. So let's go back into the application. One of the other important things to note under personal information is, let's see. I apologize for my slow internet, guys. There we go. If you have a social security number, you most definitely want to link that in your application. That makes sure that all of your information is linked appropriately, that we have the correct person. So it's very important that if you do have a social security number that you input it into this section. It's asking about your first language as well as military status. So because I selected that I was not, I had never served in the military, this is grayed out. It does want to know if you happen to be a military dependent though. If I had selected that I had served in the military, it would ask me more questions like whether I was on active duty status, whether I was a veteran, things of that nature, whether I was in the reserves. So those will change depending on your answer. It also wants to know if you are in good academic standing with your last school, meaning if you've been disqualified from the last school that you've attended, you would select no. And then it goes over any infractions, like whether you had been disciplined academically, whether you had violated any student conduct rules, things of that nature. Here, it wants to know whether you are interested eventually in earning a teaching credential. The state of California is wanting to know this information because it's good to know so that we know whether we're going to have a teacher shortage or not. Also, too, if you would like to, or if you're interested in knowing if you're eligible for a CalFresh program, you can learn more about the CalFresh program here, and then you would select yes or no. For the California Promise program, to be eligible for the California Promise program, you must have earned an ADT. So since I selected that I had earned my ADT or will be earning my ADT in business administration, it's giving me this option. I strongly encourage all students who are earning an ADT to select yes for California Promise. There's additional benefits that come along with that. There's more advising that comes along with that. So I would encourage you to select yes if you are earning an ADT. If you have an RN license, so this would be particular for our students who are going into the nursing program, if they already have an RN license or they're in the process of getting their RN license, this would be an accurate information answer. And then how did you hear about us? So was it through your community college? Were you online? Did you talk to your CSUB transfer specialist? So those are all important things to answer. I do want to go back to this financial and parent information. One thing I wanted to highlight here, so I'm going to list myself as independent, and that's where it's going to populate some questions. Some of our students get stuck on this, and it's very important that we answer these questions accurately. So down here it asks your adjusted gross income for 2018. So all income that you've paid taxes on. So let's say that you made $20,000 in the year of 2018. But notice the second question, it says untaxed income. Most of us pay taxes on the income that we've made. So if you made $20,000 and you paid taxes on all of it, you did your tax return, this number would be 0. It also asks your total household size. There's 3 people that live in my house, and the number of dependents. I have 1 dependent. And then I am not interested in campus housing. And then my parents' education level, they are high school graduates. And now I get to save and continue. The reason this section is so important is this drives to see whether you qualify for the fee waiver or not. When you go back up here to where it says submit application, it will show me how long I have progressed through the application, and I will not be eligible to submit it until I have completed all of the sections within the 4 quadrants. One of the things as well to note is that once the application is ready to be submitted, up here it'll give you the option to see if you qualify for a fee waiver. If you do qualify for fee waivers, you qualify for a total of 4. Meaning that if you were trying to apply to multiple CSUs, you could apply up to 4 without paying the $70 application fee for each one. So please keep that in mind. I want to make sure that we touch on program materials. Most of these sections, for Bakersfield at least, we do not have specific things that we need you to know about our programs because we are not an impacted campus. So the only time you will see an additional information about this is going to be for nursing. Nursing is an impacted program at CSUB. We are ranked, I believe it's 4th now in the state of California. So it's highly competitive, but I just want you to be aware of this section is just giving general information about the program that you listed that you're interested in. So that you want to start it in the spring, that it's a BS, the program is business administration, that it'll be on a face-to-face capacity. Please note that we have not heard how spring 2021 will be ran at this time due to COVID-19. The CSU system has been trying to be as transparent as possible with that, but a decision has not been made at this time. However, fall 2020 for the CSU system is 100% virtual, with the exception of a few lab classes that students will be coming on campus for. I hope that this was helpful and this was made it a little bit easier for the Cal State Apply application. You want to make sure, I've had a few students in the past that thought that they submitted their application because all of their application boxes were green, lit up, ready to go. Until you hit that submit button and either pay for your application fee or apply your fee waiver, the application is not submitted. So please make sure that you hit the submit button once you're done with the application, and you will get a confirmation immediately from Cal State Apply letting you know that you have submitted an application. You will then later get an email from CSUB once we've downloaded your application, and it's going to provide you with your CSUB ID number, and it's going to instruct you on how to get into your CSUB portal. Please make sure that you look out for those emails and that you check your spam. Sometimes our emails get routed to the spam folder. And then just note that you will need to submit official transcripts once CSUB requests them of you in your My CSUB portal. So please look out for that. And you would need to submit transcripts from all institutions attended, and any CLEP scores, any AP scores, any IB scores, those need to be sent directly to CSUB. We will not take them off of the transcript from your community college. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you guys in spring 2021. You can always email us at transfer@csub.edu. I'm Melissa, your transfer specialist. Have a great day, guys. Bye.